Wow, we would have never believed this. You can listen to us on our podcast. We're on Spotify, we're on Apple, we're on Google. Go out there and listen to us when you're driving to work, or maybe when you're just sitting at home, or you're on the treadmill at the gym. So we're excited about it. We're glad you're excited about it too.
I said, he's like, yeah, man, we should do it again. And I said, yeah, that'd be cool, man. Anytime. He says, well, what about Thursday? And I said, I'll see you Thursday, bud.
Hey, I'm sitting here with my friend Steve Southers. He's the owner of Sportslanders West. And man, if you're thinking about nutrition, you got to talk to this guy, because I'm going to say it. This is the man that won't steer you wrong. I guarantee it. Sitting here with my friend Adam Perez. Adam has a lot of things that he's done in his life. One is he's a senior pastor of a church called Breakthrough in Lindsay, California. If you didn't listen to Adam's lunch break story, you have to. We also have a Ministry Matters. And so today we're talking to Steve about muscles matters, because they do. Adam feels like he needs to pump up a little bit.
Yeah, I should have had a dumbbell at least for 20 minutes notice. Nobody told me.
Bodybuilders wear undersized shirts.
Oh, gotcha. Okay, gotcha. So that's an extra small.
Extra medium.
Okay, gotcha. I learned something new already.
I love it, Adam. So in Muscle Matters, we're talking about muscles and how they matter and the matters that involve muscles. But Adam talked about how boxing came into your life at a point where there wasn't a lot of stability.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm so glad you guys brought boxing up, because that explains my body size compared to your guys.
No, explains your nose isn't completely.
Yeah, my nose. Yeah,
it doesn't go in a straight line.
My wife, when she cooks a good plate of food, when she says, "You want to smell it?" I say, "Yeah." She puts it over here. That smells so great. But yeah, boxing was pivotal in my life at just the right time. I was probably 11, 12 years old, and an uncle used to go to boxing, and I knew my dad liked boxing, so I just
at this time your dad was in prison.
No, and so at this time my dad was a fugitive. We were still running.
Okay,
yeah, we were still running. We were, I gone to so many different schools, lived in so many states.
You did.
Here, Mexico, you name it, we were there. But yeah, so my dad's going. He's under an alias. He's working, and we're trying to be normal. But. My uncle, starts going to this gym, and my uncle, he's a scrappy guy, man. He was good at fighting, and he starts going to this gym, and finally I said, well, I'm going to tag along one day. Man, you would think I've been doing it my whole life. I was able to grasp onto everything. I was just naturally good at jump roping and hitting punching bags and pads, and I got really good really fast. So good that my nose is partially crooked now. And so, I got good really fast, and it was a sport that for me, just pulled me. It was a savior for me before Christ was. I feel God used it at the right time in my life.
Steve, do you hear that a lot?
Yeah. You will look up, and most athletes will say that, like for me, bodybuilding was how I got over my addictions. I needed something else to cope and get past my addiction. And the day I decided to stop is the day I just got serious and decided to compete.
Yes. Wow. And it almost gives you one thing as a healthier choice.
Yes.
Versus something else.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like oftentimes you said the key word was coping, man. Coping is a big deal, and sports and physical fitness. Even in Proverbs it says, to get your kids physically active. So that they're, they don't run astray.
Yep. And it even says, Paul says that we're not like a fighter who beats at the air.
Yeah.
We have purpose.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a finish line for us, man. There's a prize at the end of the event or whatever we're competing in. But yeah, coping was a big deal, man. That's a mechanism that God has gifted us with, that if we properly steer it, it's life changing. Absolutely.
Yeah. So your life in the ring took you to quite a few wins.
Yeah. So
your amateur career.
Yeah. So I had an amateur career. It wasn't very long. I think what the bigger career that I had before amateurs was actually before amateurs. I was in incredible shape. I was a great fighter. It was the only thing that I was great at. I was naturally good at a lot of sports, but I was great at boxing. And so I would spar, before when I moved to Bakersfield, I went to this random gym and I said, hey, I'm training. I need some sparring. Do you guys have anybody? I remember this guy, Joe Cardenas, of Refuse to Lose Boxing Gym. He's important. He became my trainer later. And he said, yeah, I got someone for you. He puts me in with his son, right? And his son's just an animal, just a beast, right? And he just kind of tried to humble, what's it called? Humble trick me, yeah, we'll get him. We'll just, we'll spar around. And I'm serious, I'm respectful.
See how many times you go, we'll put some weights on the bar.
And so he comes in, he's like, yeah. And so we get in the ring, ding, ding. This man's trying to take my head off. And so I'm in there and I'm respectful. It's not my gym. I'm very careful when I go to random gyms because you never know who you'll offend, what can happen. And so I'm very careful.
Yeah, they're willing to beat you up in those places.
Yeah, they will. They'll close the door and rough you up real quick, throw you outside. It never happened to me, but I did take part in. No, I'm kidding. I didn't. But this guy tries taking my head off, and I said, okay, I'm gonna have to box him, really good. Man, I beat the heck out of that guy's son. I gave him a shiner. First time he's ever had a black eye. And I countered, and I just caught him clean and just busted his eye. And he, right after we're done sparring, he takes his headgear off, and it's already yellow and green and purple. And just, he's like, man, I never got hit like that before. He said, you're the only dude that, and so after that, I found my home gym. He said, hey, do you need a trainer? I said, funny you ask. I just moved here. But yeah, I always stayed in boxing no matter where I went. And after I sparred him, word got out. And so they were bringing people from Los Angeles, professional fighters. So I was sparring people from Los Angeles. I was sparring people from all different places. You made a living being
a professional sparrer.
And that's exactly what happened. I was turning into a professional sparrer. I didn't know that was a thing I could get paid for. So just so you guys know, you can be paid for sparring. I did not
somebody's
know.
Punching bag.
This nose never competed professionally. Yeah. But look at it. No.
It's beautiful.
I didn't know. So the biggest career I had was before I ever had a career.
And you end up fighting some really well-known fighters doing that.
I did. I fought some good fighters. I'm not allowed to name a lot of them, but I did fight.
That means you got them.
I did. I put
non-disclaimer right there.
Exactly. So I did. I hurt a few. There was a guy that got mad at me. I think I broke his nose. But it's funny. He came. It was on a Tuesday, and Tuesday's conditioning day, or it was. And I'd run 8 miles. So I ran 8 miles and then did my whole training regimen. And then this guy walks in, hey, I need sparring. I heard you have a guy. And my coach was like, we do have a guy, but it was conditioning day. Yeah. He said, no, it's fine. We could just go, 3 rounds. And, at that time, 3 rounds is nothing. I go 8, 10.
And it's funny because the sparring is always based on the person across from you.
Oh yeah.
So the energy,
the level of it's tit for tat. Whatever they're doing, you're matching.
It's like rolling in for jiu-jitsu. It's like force equals force.
Yeah, that's exactly.
I'm gonna hit you as hard as you want to hit me. How do you want to play this game?
Exactly. And so again, I always started respectful.
Let's hold you on that because we're taking a timeout for our sponsor. Think you're gonna like this guy. Think you're gonna identify with him. So let's go there.
We all know about creatine, right? Well, creatine was made in 1960. There's no reason to still be taking stuff from 1960 when you got awesome stuff like Pump 365. What makes Pump 365 so great is it's glycogen based. Glycogen is the stuff you want to put into your muscle to make it expand bigger, beautiful. There's nothing like a bigger, beautiful muscle when it's Pump 365. It's an NO product loaded with glycogen to give you a pump, and then it says 365, so stay pumped all day long.
Swing by 7420 District Boulevard or call 661-282-8840 and ask for Steve for all your sports supplement and nutrition needs.
Hey, there he is right there, Steve. I love having you part of the show, and I love the way you have that energy when you get excited about your product, because you really are excited about your product.
I never wanted to forget what it's like to be on the other side of the counter. That was my whole purpose of doing this, is to never forget what it was like to be on that side of the counter. And I still remember the first time I picked up a weight. I still remember the energy I got the first time I walked into Gold. So I still get excited about the business, the aspect of it. And I love the young guys when they come in. I had a young guy come in today, and he was like, Steve, I'm going to start. I said, all right, cool, let's go. And I think it's so awesome. So that's always my passion. When you say I get excited, it's because I'm passionate and I really enjoy it.
Well, you should see him advertise his products. So do you know what Steve's price is for training somebody?
No.
A pair of shoes.
Really?
Oh, he's got awesome shoes. He's got some
Oh,
awesome.
he does. What size shoe? You're 13?
Yes.
Ah, so am I.
He's got the neatest
There we
shoe
go.
collection you could
I've
imagine.
got one of those TikTok shoes going on
no.
where there's just
Oh,
rolls
no.
upon rolls.
That's awesome. Well, yeah,
So
I'm
you-
a size 13 too, so if you ever remember it.
So as you're here, you're saying you always wanted to be respectful, which I think
Yeah.
I think that's an admirable trait, especially among athletes.
Well, yeah, my dad always, regardless of the lifestyle we lived growing up, one thing that my dad always taught me was respect. No matter where I went, no matter who I was talking to, whether they deserved it or not, you show respect. And so I'd get into the ring with the same mentality. And the guy I was telling you about a second ago, he'd come. It was conditioning day. I'd run 8 miles. I did my whole regimen. It was 3.5 hour workout nonstop. And so he comes in. He says, I heard you have this guy. My coach says, yeah, come back Thursday. Thursday we'll spar. And the guy's like, we'll just go 3 rounds, man. I just need a little bit of work. He was being trained by a professional. And this is the guy, I can't say who he is, but his trainer was a professional fighter, a champion, WBC champion at one point. And so he was training this guy, and this guy was, pretty decent profile. I don't want to say high profile, but he was good. And we get in the ring, and I'm beat, and my trainer goes, what do you say? I said, that's fine if he just wants to work. And I said, we'll just keep it light, man. I said, if you just need to move, I'll move around with you. And so we get in the ring, and here he comes trying to rip my head off. And
That's always the thing.
I knew at this point I got experience. I understood that he was gonna, I figured
wanted to prove a
might.
point.
Yeah, he wanted to sit me down because I'm that guy from that gym that's just.
But
beating
isn't it
up pros.
amazing when you're tired is when your feet are the feet are the steadiest and the hands are the hardest?
Yeah, I was fine. I did good, but I'm not gonna lie. I'd put everything into those 8 miles. That's a story for another day. I tried to run till I passed out. That intentionally.
Yeah.
So that's a story for another time.
That's an intensity, right?
Yeah. I tried to run.
We all have that mentality.
Yeah, I'm like,
when you get
Not at running.
no,
Yeah,
no, I know.
Yeah, not you. Yeah.
Leg
But-
pressing.
But yeah, there you go. But yeah, so we get in, and this dude's, he's coming at me hard, and even his our trainer, my trainer was like, hey, calma tu gallo. That means calm down your rooster, and this guy's he doesn't learn, and I'm tagging him and I'm hitting him, but I'm trying to not match energy to hope that he calms down because I really don't have the energy to give. This is the 13th, 14th round for me basically when you add in my workouts, and so I'm working, and finally he hits me with the body shot, and I never in my life have I ever taken a knee, been knocked down or knocked out, and I took a knee, and I took a knee, and then he did it. Fourth round, right? We were in the 4th round. We were supposed to go 3. We're in the 4th round, and he
Because testosterone kicks in.
Because-
Egos
I was gonna say he started peacocking, didn't he?
Yeah, he did, and he gloated a little, but I busted him up a little. I didn't get him as good as I wanted to, and so I said, hey man, I said, good sparring. I played it cool. I played the bigger man. I said, good sparring, man. You got me on them body shots, man. I didn't make excuses. I said, I was exhausted. No, I said, you got me. You got me, because I made the decision to get in the ring. That's not his fault. And so I said, he's like, yeah, man, we should do it again. And I said, yeah, that'd be cool, man. Yeah, anytime. He says, well, what about Thursday? And I said, I'll see you Thursday, bud. I said,
After no running.
don't mind if I
Hydration
do.
and pasta.
I did not run. I didn't work out the day before. So it was Tuesday.
You treated the
I
spar
did
as a
not-
fight.
I did not work out on Wednesday. I did not work out on Thursday. I drank water and did a light jog, light jump rope, and warmed up. He walks in the gym, and I got a sweat, right? Because it's Bakersfield, so I was sweating. So, here he comes. That poor guy. I broke his nose. I broke his nose. And I'm not vindictive in the sense that I tried to break his nose, but I wanted to show him who everybody else
Well, he
thought
came,
I
he came to
was.
get
Oh,
you
he came-
specifically.
yeah, specifically.
He
yeah,
drove.
by name.
Yes,
By name.
yes.
Drove from LA.
He drove.
All right.
And I busted him up so bad. I just, by the time he was done, his nose was bad. It was crooked. Normally, as a trainer, you're supposed to try to right away get that straightened out. But his trainer didn't do that, and so his nose looked like a L right here, like a Z. I'm sorry. Boom, 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 and his mouth was just gushing blood. By the time we were done, we did.
How many rounds you make?
I think we did 6, but that was a strategic thing on my behalf.
Drug him out.
I was a little vindictive.
You drug him out, didn't
So
you?
I did. I drug him out. I let him. I kind of rope-a-doped him, and just made him think I was the same fighter he fought on Tuesday. And then round 3, I'm mopping him up.
From heels to toes, huh?
Yeah, poor guy. I stopped him to the body a couple times. I uppercutted the heck out of him, which broke his nose in the 5th. And he wanted to keep going. I told him, dude, your nose is broken. No, I'm fine. He was mad. And I stopped hitting him in the face after that. And I would just catch him with left hooks on the chin or to the body. I didn't want to,
Well, you're a professional spar.
Yeah.
That's how you make your money.
Yeah.
You got to be careful.
Only I didn't know I could make money.
You got to be
doing
careful
that.
how much beating you give,
Yeah,
because if you get too good of a beating, you don't get too good of a paycheck.
Well, okay, so that's actually why I wasn't able to progress. I would try to book fight. I wanted to get 10 fights as an amateur and then go pro in February. This is like March-ish. 10 fights, I got 9 months. That's a piece of cake, amateur. I could not get a fight for the life of me because of the politics.
If you start tossing
because
around pros, nobody wants to put their.
Well, yeah, and so that was a huge bummer for me. That actually is what led me into this next session after this timeout.
So we're going to take another break, listen to one of our advertisers, sponsors. So
We're going to talk a little bit about amino acids. Amino acids, this one right here is all day UMA. It's kind of like the Swiss Army knife of amino acids. It's got B6, B12, glutamine, coconut water. It has everything as well as essential amino acids. If you don't know what essential amino acids are the thing that make the branched chain amino acids work. So if you do not have essential amino acids in your branched chain amino acids and you're trying to figure out why your amino acids suck, that's probably a good reason why. So come by, get all day UMA, because you want to do it all day when you're in the gym.
Swing by 7420 District Boulevard or call 661-282-8840 and ask for Steve for all your sports supplement and nutrition needs.
hey, you got to know this guy's face. There again, you need to talk to him to understand what the body needs as a supplement of nutrition, because this show is about muscles matter. Mm-hmm. And Steve is the guy that's going to be able to help you put the right nutrients, not excess, not something you don't need in your body to achieve that. So Adam, you were talking about now going into the next part of this boxing career.
Yeah, so I couldn't, I was a victim of my own success, right? I was great at sparring, and I got in such good physical shape that I was really, really good. And so when it came time for me to go pro, I had a goal of 10 fights, and I couldn't book a fight for the life of me. I showed up to event after event having booked an opponent, and then they see me, they know who I am, and then there's no fight. And so I actually ended up just doing one amateur fight out of town as a surprise, where nobody knew where I was. I won the fight. And so, I couldn't progress. I got in the stage where I'm just like, God, am I even supposed to keep doing this? Why is this so hard? And at that point, nobody was bringing even sparring for me anymore. So I had to start sparring heavyweights and things. That's how I got my nose broken, actually, after I broke his. So, no. But it got harder and harder to compete. And my motivation started to kind of dwindle because I could not book a fight. And so this is where I started saying, God, maybe I'm not supposed to do this.
Isn't it amazing when
Yeah.
when you know where you're going and God's like, no.
Yeah,
no.
and what's crazy is you have to think, I'm a believer, and I love God with all my heart. Every day that I went to train, my trainer showed up at 5 o'clock in the morning for me because I had to work. So I would train from 5 to 8:30, and the entire time I would put on worship music. And I'd ask him, I said, hey, Joe, can I put my music on? He says, go ahead, carnal, he would tell me. He says, but I don't know how that stuff gets your juices flowing, you know? How does it get you going, eh? You know? And I said, I said, it does something to me, Joe. I said, when I know I serve a victorious God,
Yeah.
and I'm in this ring, I just imagine my opponent is his opponent, you know. And so I give him praise and worship. And so it went on that for the rest of those 9 months, I couldn't book an opponent, and I'm asking God the whole time, Lord, what am I supposed to do? Sparring is like 0 to none now. I'm sparring the same people. And it's boring at this point because I know their style. I'm basically just giving them a workout at this point. And so finally I remember, I wake up one day and I hear God tell me, you got to ask Joe if he wants to receive me as his Lord and Savior. See, Joe had been asking me questions for a couple months at that point. And as a result of the worship music, he saw this ad about this new Jesus TV show that was coming out on Discovery or something at the time. And he would ask me questions and I would answer his questions about the Jesus show. And then finally I got that, nudge, and I said, okay, Lord. I was nervous. Joe's hardcore raza center.
We know what those gym
Mexican
owners are like, right, Steve?
he's
in the iron arena,
yeah,
not in the boxing.
yeah,
Steve knows.
He's this Mexican guy that's like, what's up, carnal? What's up, ese? Like that. And he's hardcore, man. He used to tell me this. He used to say, I said, Joe, are you sure? Like, you want me to do the heavyweight? He's like, bro, I don't care if it's King Kong in the ring. If I put you in there, it's because I believe you could do it, And so I said, okay. And so, I'm getting no fights. God tells me this. And he tells me, and 2 weeks pass, and I'm trying to build up the courage. Because at this point, I'm not an evangelist. I'm not Mr. You want to receive Jesus as your Lord and Savior guy. And so finally the moment comes, and I was about to go on a 4-day trip. It was a Wednesday, I think. Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Yeah, it was a Wednesday. And so I wake up that morning, and I had told my wife about it, and she goes, I don't know if that's a good idea. Like, what if that messes with your guys' relationship? And I told her, it's God. And as soon as I said that, she said, okay. She just backed off, and I said, I believe it's God.
And with Perez backing off, that is that moment.
Yeah,
she believes that you're hearing God.
Yeah.
I mean, that's one of the things I do believe with that one fleshness that you build up with the wife, that when they do feel that their man is in that groove, they back off.
It's and my wife's a strong person.
Oh, she is.
Your wife's a strong person.
Oh, she is. Well, so Perez punched you.
Yeah, she did punch me. She did. Your wife punched you too.
Twice.
Ours was different. Mine was in a class of boxing. His just caught him clean.
Cal State barbecue.
Caught him clean.
It wasn't an innocent moment. And,
oh gosh,
I've always told that story.
Yeah, it's a funny one. I never forget it. Because he was, 5XL shirts, and just gets laid out by this little tiny girl. Yeah. But anyway.
Well, to finish the story, she was in this black party dress out at Cal State Bakersfield. It's a big deal in Bakersfield,
Yeah.
And I got up expecting, we're going to roll for a while, I got up and she's there, black party dress, her hair done, and some black pumps on. I'm like, oh, you look hot.
Oh, you get distracted.
She squared up with me like this. And I'm like, wow.
Yeah, after she hit you.
This is the moment.
And that's when he knew she was the one. Yeah.
He woke up and proposed.
Yeah.
Funny.
Exactly.
Sorry, Tiffany.
It was my fault. So where were we?
You were talking about getting your courage up.
Yeah, and so, I move, I tell Perez, I think that today's the day. It's 4:35 in the morning. I said, I think today's the day. She goes, okay, just be careful. She didn't know what to say. And so at that time, we had gained momentum as a little training group. There was 4 other fighters. And we're training. I run my, 3 miles, 5 miles, then do the training. And then after, this moment just happens where
those moments are just...
The other fighters just kind of drifted off to where the punching bags were. And I'm sitting on the ring taking off my wraps, and Joe's talking to me, and I finally said, hey Joe, but I was like this, listen, and then finally I just said, hey Joe, and he looks, he goes, what's up, ese? What do you got? What's going on? And I said, can I ask you a question? And he says, he just goes like this. I said, have you ever received Jesus Christ as your Lord and Savior? And he goes, real serious look. And I said, do you want to? And he goes,
That's cool.
right? And at that moment, I said, okay, I'm going to pray with you. I said, but I'm going to warn you, Joe, you're a tough guy. I said, when you give your life to this Jesus, I said, you can become a crybaby. That heart of yours is going to get soft. I said, and he's going to begin to change you. And he's just like this, you know, his eyes kind of water up, and he's ready. And so I prayed with him. He received Jesus Christ as his Lord and Savior.
Oh, cool.
I said bye. I went on my 4-day trip. I came back Monday, trained with him for an hour and a half in the morning, left by 8 o'clock. By 11 o'clock, I got a phone call from his wife that he had passed away of a heart attack. Yeah.
Wow.
And so God
was so timely.
Oh, it was perfect. And God moves in the miraculous, in the muscles, you know, in the ministry. God is, he just loves his kids so much. And his purpose sometimes, I'll just say this really quick. His purpose oftentimes is not what you think it is. I thought that I was going to have this huge underdog from poverty to popularity lifestyle where I can bring Jesus glory through my fighting skills. And really God said, no, it was for this one soul.
You know, Adam, I remember Steve being in the Gold one day, and I had given my life to the Lord, and there was a guy, and I'll mention his name, Chris Chica. He used to be a big lifter in town. And I was doing some leg curls, and Pastor Ron was there because Chris came over. You know, I was doing some leg curls, lying leg curls, and he got down. And so I'm like holding on and looking, and he's looking at me, he goes, Tom, he goes, tell me, what is it? And I looked at him and I go, it's Jesus. So he stood up, got back down, he goes, no, I'm serious. What is it? I go, Chris, it's Jesus. Walked out of the gym. And it was that moment that I knew that it wasn't, you know, there was a point now I'm not doing anabolics. I mean, you know, people know I'm professing Christ. So it's not about standing on stage. It was about how did you get out? Wow, you know, yeah. And I just told him it was Jesus. Wow. And Chris became a strong believer, and he's still around Bakersfield today. But I'm just saying, it was that moment that was at a leg press with not a lot of weight, but it's sometimes that unexpected where God's like, now, and that's it.
And you have to be open. That's the crazy thing. Is there's a million one times where you in the gym and somebody's coming and you're like, no, I'm a representative.
Yeah.
I'm
absolutely. A representative. I ask.
Yep.
You have to let it go, because at any moment, like you said, you have to be the representative.
And so, Adam, I do know this about you, and I think Steve's going to find this interesting in our audience. So you are a vegetarian.
Vegetarian,
yes. And have you always been that?
No. Okay. It's been about going on 7 years now.
Yeah, well, there again, you're always in great shape. You know, if you pulled up your shirt, which we're not saying to do that, you would have a 6-pack.
Yeah.
Maybe an 8-pack.
I'm still in good shape.
Yeah. So Steve, you have questions for that, because I know this is an area that you are expert in too, as far as nutrition.
I just want to know why you gave up meat. What was the life decision? I'm always interested in why people stop eating the most delicious thing that God ever put on the planet.
You know what? I'm in agreement with you, my friend. I have kids. You know, I have 3 boys, and my dad, you know, I love him so much. He's changed his life. He loves the Lord. His diet's terrible, and a couple years ago now, I guess it would have been 7 years ago now, 6-7 years ago, I used to just stand by my phone waiting for the call that my dad had a heart attack because his diet. He just didn't take care of himself at the time. And he would eat whatever, and on top of that, anytime I always had a decent diet, so I'd be training, and then I'd be doing well. I'd go visit in Lindsay from Bakersfield for the weekend, eat carnitas, buche, you know, all the real Mexican paisa stuff, and I go back and I feel like crap for 3 days. It'd take me 3 or 4 days to